Hey, good morning. Um, Wanted to share a video today talking about how my life has changed with PSC over time. It's been a gradual, slow change since diagnosis, but I thought I would provide a little background into what it was like before and how it's changed now, and as I wait for a transplant. And a quick health update. It's been about 3 weeks since I was released from the hospital for a cholangitis flare, and I'm feeling good. No fevers, antibiotics are cleared, and I'm traveling for work right now, and just feeling good and hopeful that the next flare or any complication is either non-existent or way off in the future. And I wanted to clarify, in my first two videos, I had mentioned that the antibiotics and some of the treatments would return my blood work and symptoms to normal, but again, clarifying that that would be my normal, my baseline, which is pretty far off of normal liver enzyme results or and so forth. So, but what that means for me specifically is itching is manageable, fatigue minimal, and feeling good. And so, hopeful that that continues. As I look back on, I'll provide a little bit about what Sandra and I, my wife's lives were like, and still are to the most part, leading up to being diagnosed, and what we were doing, and then what it's like now as I wait for the call to have a liver transplant. And Sandra and I have been active. She was an athlete in school, and I was a little bit, not to the same level. And we had gotten busy having the kids, raising the family, and so forth, and getting into work, and kind of let some of that slip. And we quit smoking, Sandra in 2007, me in 2008, wanting as we got a little older and wanting to get healthy and obviously get that behind us. And in doing that, you find, at least we found, that you have to add activity. And so Sandra got into running a lot, and I was doing this workout tape in the house on the TV, sort of a boot camp aerobics type thing to help fill the time and to try to get active. And Sandra, I actually did that tape so much that the DVD physically fell apart and didn't work any longer. And so at that point, Sandra said, "Hey, why don't you come out and start running?" It was 2013. And she got me into running, and my doctor was obviously excited that I had quit smoking, and so was I. And it was kind of fun to do the annual physical and look at the blood work and see the cholesterol getting better and the blood pressure and all those kind of things. And obviously, there was no liver issues at that point or any numbers that were elevated. And I remember early on, he said, "Well, you smoked a long time. You'll probably always have some high blood pressure and stuff like this." But as the years went by and we stayed active, he said, "Well, you've got the stats of an 18-year-old at this point, and maybe you have reversed a lot of that damage." And in 2016 or 17, he actually said, "You looks like you beat your family history of heart disease, and you're not going to have issues with that, and you should be good to go." And it happened to be later that year that I was hospitalized for pancreatitis and things associated with the PSC. Now that I look back on it, I wasn't diagnosed yet, but yeah, the plumbing had started to get plugged up with bile sludge, and my gallbladder was removed, and so forth. And it was 3 years later that I was actually diagnosed. So life was normal at that time. Sandra and I love camping, fishing, hiking, traveling, and being active with our adult children as much as we can. And we had set a goal, some years before that, as we started getting active, that we wanted to live to be 100, as close as we could, and be under our own power and being able to hold hands and walk down the beach. Kind of a fun goal that would guide us in how we ate and lived and being active and stuff like that, trying to have a good quality of life. And so we worked toward that. And when it came to running, I had joined a running club and just loved it. And in the first year, I ran my first 5K, first half, and first marathon, and decided that I wanted to try to qualify for the Boston Marathon, which, if you've ever done that, congratulations, because it's not easy. And I still haven't done it yet. And so now my Boston qualifying will be post transplant, whatever that looks like, as I try to get some time behind that healed up and working toward running Boston. So we had those kind of goals, and those stayed the same. In 2020, I was diagnosed, kept running. I was running about 35 miles a week. Because of the COVID stuff, my marathon that I like to run in Sacramento was, I think, canceled the first year and then limited and so forth. Kind of got me out of that habit. But I was just running, 5 days a week, in the mornings before work, and enjoying myself, and loved it. And I did notice, because I've been wearing a Garmin watch. I think I'm on my third one for about 10 years. That my stats, and I'm getting older. I'm 59, but I don't think my stats would deteriorate that quick. And what I mean is, between my pace and my VO2 max and some of the things the watch calculates, um, even though I had maintained the fitness and the diet and all that, I could see that I was kind of fighting something. I mean, I added 3 minutes to my average mile in a fairly short time, and just the effort and how your watch tracks what kind of aerobic level you're at. So I knew that it was most likely my liver, and so I could see that in the on my Garmin as one of the impacts. And then also, what started to change was the fatigue. And I work in the restaurant business, always have, and I'm kind of blessed that with those hours, it's weekends and nights and opening restaurants and traveling and so forth. But you do get some flexibility on when you start and when you stop, and what rather than Monday through Friday 9 to 5. And so that did allow me to work around the appointments somewhat, or things I might have to do, and to take time to deal with fatigue and so forth. And that was one of the symptoms that's probably plagued me the most, was just general fatigue. Sometimes it was sleeping 8 hours and still being just gassed when I got up, and sometimes it would come on in the afternoon, and not just sort of the afternoon. I need a cup of coffee feeling, but just dog tired. Never itched too bad or had anything like that. It would ramp up before a cholangitis attack. Um, but again, some of the impacts on what we would do is, when we go camping, it's not so much fun if you go camping and then you need to take a nap several times a day, rather than hiking or fishing and stuff like that. Um, some of the things that change as well are the appointments. My first few years, it wasn't bad. I had an MRI once a year, twice a year I would do, and we moved it about an hour and a half from the liver center. And so we started doing the phone call appointments as much as we could. And I would get blood work twice a year. And a couple of years ago, as it ramped up, then I started adding in the ERCPs and some of the other scans, and I'll be a little bit uh, more involved. And then this 2026, the last 7 months, I guess, yeah, again, it's been pretty heavy with 3 hospitalizations, and then the whole, which I'll make a video just on that, about the liver transplant evaluation, because that is a whole bunch of testing and visits in a short amount of time. And so, again, I'm pretty blessed with my job to be able to work with that and use my sick days and so forth, and then be able to work on the weekends if I have to make up for some of the lost time. Um, some of the things that people don't see, that when you're dealing with PSC, kind of a silent thing, is looking healthy while you're feeling sick and exhausted. And so that kind of adds to the loneliness of it, I guess, or a doctor thinking, hey, you're doing all right, but you're not feeling good on the inside. And again, trying to balance your family time and your work and your health and the bills and all that come with it. Um, since it's a rare disease, trying to explain, primary sclerosing cholangitis to people, sometimes nurses and doctors, not at a medical level, but just to what is it, and a lot of times, and there's nothing wrong with it, if somebody drinks and has to deal with all that. But most, if you say something about your liver, it's generally like, oh, do you drink a lot, and things like that. And so explaining that what the process is. Um, and then something that's tough that people don't see is that variable progression. And I'm optimistic, and so when things are good, uh, I forget about it, and get all the plans going, and kind of, and then it strikes hard, and with no real pattern, and it's tough to process that. Um, the mental side of waiting for a transplant, again, I called it a double-edged sword before. It feel like a blessing that that's going to happen at some point, but it's scary. I watched a video last night about a liver transplant, and so it looks like a lot. But I do know once the recovery's there, it's great, going to be great. So I'm excited, super anxious at the same time, and then just that feeling that the phone can ring, even though I'm getting used to it, and then working with, talking with my wife and our planning and having our go bags ready and running through plans, and then I let my work know and got that paperwork sorted out. All those kind of things kind of help ease the anxiety, but it's still there. Um, and then one of the things that get used to what you look like. And I think the family, my family does too. But then when I travel and I see people at work, whatever, in different regions, and I hear more than not now, like, oh, are you okay? You look like you're losing a lot of weight, and are you feeling okay, and all that stuff. And I know it's all good intention, but it starts to be like, why would I look like crap or what, and am I looking too skinny and things like that. So I've just noticed that's been ramping up over this last year as well. Some things that keep me going. Definitely a big one is my family support. They are super supportive. My wife's my designated caregiver, and she does that for a living. And she's super on top of it and very supportive and will always listen, as well as my son and daughter and my mom and brothers and sisters and stuff. So truly blessed there, and that's a lot of help. Um, Continuing to be active. I'm kind of on the fence now about running anymore until I have my transplant. It seems like when I get back to it after the antibiotics clear, um, that then something just happens. And so I think I'm going to possibly stick to just some good walking and lifting some dumbbells and stuff like that. Just trying to stay active, and I'll have my goal of getting a transplant and then trying to qualify for Boston, all that down the road. Um, and again, so staying active within my limits and finding things to do that. Things that keep me going is knowing I have a great transplant team. It's an amazing group of doctors, nurses, and the whole group is makes me feel good. And then again, starting this YouTube channel lets me vent, even if I'm the only one watching. Hopefully, somebody will see it and can connect and maybe feel less alone and so forth, or find some information. Um, to wrap it up, I know I'm babbling and going long here, but I wanted to say, PSC has changed my life quite a bit, and but it hasn't changed who I am. So I'm still goal oriented and active and blessed with my family, and I'm going to get this transplant behind me and be a good patient and heal up. And I want to be one of the patients that pops up quickly and gets back to it. And then I can already visualize crossing that finish line, maybe wearing some kind of PSC shirt in Boston and collecting my medal for finishing that. Sandra and I still want to live to be 100, and we have that goal, and that helps to guide us and gives us something fun to work on together. So finally, if you're living with PSC, I'd love to hear how it changed your life, and and how you're coping with it and where you're at. So take care.